Hello, it's my distinct pleasure to have Brad Scrivner and Andy MacDowell with me today, and we'll speak about the vast lane, the digital journey of Bank to become a completely digital bank. So let me introduce first Brad Scrivner, President and CEO of Bank. Since 2012, he's been responsible for running all facets of the organization. Before joining Bank, Brad Scrivner served as market president for Kansas City-based UMB Bank. His pathway into financial services, however, is anything but normal. He began his career, listen carefully, as a system and design engineer at a nuclear plant, but eventually transitioned into consultative sales with Xerox and then Merrill Lynch. So I'm happy to see that you can take an unusual career path to become a CEO of a bank. Brad, you're a living example for that.
Finally found something I could do, Falk.
Second person I would like to introduce is Andrew MacDowell. He's president of Axxiome. Andrew has over 2 decades of executive experience in the credit card industry with Fortune 100 financial institutions, such as MBNA Corporation and Bank of America. Andrew has had various roles in business development, loyalty marketing, technology project management, bank operations, payments, and fraud. Most notably, Andrew was a key founding stakeholder of MBNA Canada during its peak growth phase in the Canadian marketplace, which ultimately led to it becoming the largest MasterCard issuing bank in Canada. And with that, I would say, let's jump right into the story of Bank. Over to you, Brad.
Hey, thanks, Falk. Really appreciate the partnership with both of you, with SAP and with Axxiome. So as Falk mentioned, I've been the president and CEO of Bank since 2012. And just to give you a little bit of context, we've grown organically during that period of time from roughly 200 million to 800 million in assets. We're also the first SAP banking services customer in the United States. And the number one question that I consistently hear is, how did a small bank like VAST implement an SAP solution? So that's kind of the topic of our discussion this morning. Andrew and I will provide some insights into the VAST journey, our thinking, our transformation, the SAP platform, and of course, our partnership with Axxiome. So as a starting point, let's jump right into the industry challenges that we are facing that serves as a background to our SAP decision. So first of all, we all know that the financial services industry has a long history of innovation, but those historical innovations have created complex legacy systems that are expensive to maintain and difficult to modernize. At the same time, there's been a dramatic improvement in the cost, speed, and reliability of modern technologies. So this has been the perfect recipe for industry disruption. In addition, customer preferences are constantly changing. The fact is that customers have more financial services choices today than ever before, and they are voting with their feet. Even though these customers may still have their current bank accounts, many are choosing a better experience provided by a fintech company. You see here the predictions of Accenture and McKinsey from several years ago, which I think directionally are on point. And here you see the macro trend from Gartner. Essentially 80% of financial institutions will be irrelevant by 2030. And keep in mind, these predictions were pre-COVID. My guess is that the timeline for irrelevancy has accelerated. The bottom line, Bank was a small community bank. And we believed that this industry disruption was a great opportunity to make choices to move towards digital leadership and to make banking surprisingly easy. We didn't want to just survive, but we wanted to thrive. So now let's talk a little bit about our story. From a mindset perspective, I think it's important for you to know that we're a family-owned bank and we are not selling. That's really, really important in a world where 80% of us are going to become irrelevant. Also, keep in mind that the technology part of the transformation journey may be the easiest part, You know, it's project plans, it's timelines, it's getting the right people in place. The more difficult part is the organizational transformation. We are the first SAP Banking Services client. I like to joke with some that we've gone off-roading, and at least in the United States, we are blazing a trail. When implementing big changes like we are doing, it's critical that you create total alignment, all the way from shareholders to executives and managers to all employees. We've spent a lot of time and energy focusing on transforming our culture over the last 8 years, which has prepared us for the challenges of a technology transformation. You should also know that we didn't go out and just do an RFP, but rather we established the guiding principles for our banking transformation, which you can read on the screen. You can see those principles, but the very first and most important is that we wanted to know our customers, and we wanted to put them in complete control of their banking experience on any device, anywhere, anytime. So we believe what VAST is well positioned to make banking surprisingly easy. We are in process of transforming our core banking to SAP, which should be completed by mid-2021. We are growing our FinTech partnerships. We have one FinTech partner that is currently live on the SAP platform, and we will have 2 other FinTechs live on SAP by year end. We also can use the multi-tenant capabilities of SAP to extend this modern financial platform to serve community banks in the United States. So why SAP? Ultimately, we chose SAP because we believed that it was the strongest platform to accomplish the guiding principles that we discussed earlier. Think about it. Technology and customer preferences, they're always going to be changing. And the pace of change is likely just to continue accelerating. SAP has been a technology leader for many years. Bottom line, I wanted a core banking foundation that gave my team a chance to compete and to stay hyper relevant to customers. So if you think back to our guiding principles, the SAP banking architecture is a great fit for the VAST strategy. We wanted the customer to be in control of their experiences. We wanted an omni-channel interface that could easily integrate with third parties through modular architecture and loosely coupled components, SOAs and APIs. We also wanted a real-time single source of truth where we could truly know our customer, come alongside of them to make recommendations and to help them with their financial needs. Recall also that our FinTech and community bank services, this SAP solution is configurable, it's cloud ready, it's multi-tenant. Finally, SAP is multi-currency capability. And think about it. All of you have heard about some of the crypto news, the crypto things that are in the news today. This SAP system provides VAST with a really interesting opportunity to provide digital asset services. So we also wanted scalability. And with SAP, we certainly can go rapidly and are able to serve rapidly growing FinTechs and community banks. We also wanted to ensure that we had the agility and the flexibility to remain hyper relevant as customer preferences change. We wanted to deploy best practices and to limit the amount of custom development. The SAP platform provides this flexibility. We are able to configure the application to take advantage of market opportunities. So let's talk just a little bit about our our transformation architectures. So from a legacy environment, we are essentially a bank in a box architecture. You can see the proprietary levels of internal communication. You can see the file transfers to third parties, which certainly creates some increased security risks that are going on. And ultimately, this type of bank-in-a-box architecture makes it very difficult for us to be in control of the customer experience and to be able to accomplish our guiding principles. Here you see the SAP platform at the underlying component, you can see that we have partnered with Axxiome on the implementation and on their digital services, which provides the omni-channel experience. We have a process and API management capabilities that are abstracted from the transactional banking system. Note also that we are open banking and PSD2 compatible, which is really important for fintechs and perhaps neobanks that may already be doing business in Europe if there is a desire to come into the United States. This is a cloud-based, real-time system, so we can scale both horizontally and vertically if we experience exponential growth with those fintech partners or with those community banks. In addition, the system is multi-tenant and multi-currency. And as mentioned, that will enable us to be able to serve the fintechs even better. And this new crypto management capability that I mentioned with the multi-currency components, that's a really important component as well. So now you go to the fintech architecture. You see how the multi-tenant capabilities can be applied to our fintech partners. Note that fintech number 1 is live. It took us roughly 9 to 12 months to get to a MVP status. There have continued to be enhancements, and roughly that entire process has been 18 to 24 months is how we've done the first one. But if you look at fintech number 2, it has been stood up in less than 120 days to be able to get to MVP. And then fintech number 3 will achieve MVP in less than 90 days. And each of them are going to be up and running by the end of December of 2021. So you see dramatic speed to market improvements. You see that it's built on a world-class modern platform. And you see that it can be replicated, and the horizontal and vertical scalability will allow us to continue adding fintechs and be able to serve that at an extremely high level. Here, likewise, you can extend this to the community bank architecture. You notice that there are different colors for each of these environments. That's representing that each one of these community banks have their own legal structure, and the deposit and the legal structure is part of each of those environments in that particular bank that is going on. So I'd like to go ahead and turn this over to Andrew MacDowell now, president of Axxiome Americas. Axxiome has been a great partner, has helped VAS access the power of this SAP platform. And Andrew.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. And good day to all who have joined today. And thanks for spending some time with Brad and I. I'd like to take a minute, Brad, and thank you and the team at VAS Bank for what so far has just been an incredible transformation journey together. So to add to the compelling story that Brad's already told, this project is a great example and a great reminder that technology is not a barrier. It really is an enabler to business growth and shouldn't be seen as a cost center, but especially in today's environment, a critical revenue driver. So we go to the first slide. So at the heart of every digital transformation project is essentially the ability to automate business processes and do it in a relevant, sustainable, reliable, dynamic environment, in a way that allows your customers, operational resources, or partners to look at, edit, adjust, submit, transmit, or process data in real time. And that's the heart of a digital bank or a digital environment today. You know, the ability for this to happen with consistency, irrespective of the channel that's being used, is really critical in today's environment. Brad talked a little bit about that. So the heat map you see in front of you is part of the Axxiome digital platform. The functionality enables the user to visualize a process running and being executed by the system, so that integrations, instances, and decisions being made by the system can be seen. And most importantly, where areas of opportunity are identified, the user can apply changes to the process as a result and improve the business. So in this example, Brad's team doesn't have to endure those technology budget and project prioritization debates that take 6 months to wait to actually get functionality in. They'll just identify the change that needs to be made and they'll execute on it. Next slide, please. Another critical aspect of any transformation that can be daunting to think about is how to connect a platform with all of the other companies, vendors, partners, or external data sources that are critical to run the business. And this is one of those things that if it's not properly thought through proactively can really take a transformation sideways and add lots of unnecessary cost and time delays and things like that. So this diagram is a visual representation of just a small subset of integrations we've made available with VAST through our digital product. And we've created the ability to quickly replicate our interfaces so that any new technologies that are identified along the way doesn't necessarily cause a time delay and can be interfaced and completed with ease. It's also important to note that we've pre-integrated with various other core providers that you see at the lower right-hand side of the slide. So while you're making the decision to move to an SAP core banking platform, you can still achieve digital banking technology in the meantime. Next slide, please. And so at the end of the day, the truth is these types of investments in today's environments have increased and accelerated ROI to back them up. And digital technology isn't a what if anymore. It will increase speed to market. It will shorten decision-making efforts. It will reduce long-term cost. And frankly, it's what customers want. So whether you want an entire banking platform converted, or if you want simply a few processes digitized, or whether you choose a big bang approach or a toll gate approach or some different approach, there's multiple ways of achieving the goal with the right partner. And I would just say in closing, VAST is a terrific example of a progressive bank with a progressive executive team who knows what it takes to be successful in today's marketplace. And with their innovative attitudes, coupled with the strength of our partnership, we've already achieved success. So while the road continues, our partnership is already at a stage where we both feel mutually successful. So I want to thank everyone again. That concludes our presentation today. And Falk, I'll pass it over to you for questions.
Perfect. So let me take a look at the chat and let me say to everyone on the line, please put your questions into the chat so that we can have an interesting discussion. Let me start first. Brad, what you didn't talk about is you really turned the bank upside down more or less already since 2012. You even went that far that you changed the brand of the bank. Tell us a bit about that motivation and what you have already driven. What is the key to get the bank really digital ready?
Yeah, so thanks, Falk. Yeah, I didn't get into a lot of those details. Maybe some of it's painful, right? As you're going through it. But we certainly went through a process starting in 2012, and everybody's going to remember that we were going through a great recession or coming out of that at that time, right? So a lot of banks were dealing with various issues, right from a regulatory standpoint, customer standpoint, all of those things. So we really, in 2012, went through a healing process. We merged with another bank at that time in 2014. And brought those two banks together, healed both of those. We then went on a pretty organic growth process through that. And when we had the team in place, and bankers are pretty risk-averse folks, so for good reasons. But when you're having some difficulties, it's not like bankers generally want to come in and join, right? So you heal things. We did the merger. We brought the team in. And once we had that process in place, we were able to, in running the rest of the bank, we were able to really turn our attention towards the future of what was going on. And certainly we felt like Valley National Bank was the name of our bank prior to VAST. We did not believe that that adequately represented what we had in mind, and in terms of the way that we view our customers and the opportunities of our customer. That's what is VAST. It's not about us. It's all about our customers. It's all about us coming alongside of our customers and trying to enable them to be able to accomplish their vast goals, their dreams, their ultimate possibilities. So we did the rebrand. We've also doubled down. I said we were not selling. We've built a very nice building in downtown Tulsa and established the fact that we're not going anywhere. We plan for this to be a multi-generational institution. And on top of all that, we're doing the transformation, we're doing the fintech components. And, believe it or not, a small bank like ours needs to convince world-class partners that we're worthy to come alongside of them. And I will tell you that I'm really appreciative to SAP, to Axxiome, DXC, to others that have helped us in this journey. It certainly takes all of us to get to where we've gone.
Brad, you mentioned earlier that it is unusual that a small bank like yours makes such a technology decision. Why did you do that? So was that, a key element of your master plan? What's behind that decision? It's unusual, obviously. You're taking a different path than many other small banks.
Yeah, we are off-roading, and I invite other world-class partners that want to come off-road with us to, come help. We believe that the customer, financial services has had a very wide defensive moat. And the Great Recession, the technological advancements, the power of a mobile device in your hand, all of those things have changed the way that customers want to interact and be able to address big aspects of their life. And so when we were looking at a technology partner to go with, I wanted us to be able to put the customer in control of that experience. And I wanted us to be able to be confident that we could configure the system to be able to react as new technologies came in, as customer preferences changed. And ultimately speaking, we felt like that SAP was best positioned with the entire platform for us to be able to do that. And, it's a hard decision. As you well know, you were right there, with us as we were doing it. And I know Michael on the Axxiome team and Andrew and Dominique and many others were there as well. So it was a hard decision, but I feel very good that it was the right decision for us. And I kind of vaguely mentioned the crypto opportunity. I mean, Mr. Brooks with the OCC just came out with that announcement of custodian services in July. We're in a position where we're able to react to that. Our original plans with the fintech partnership were to actually do that in a different manner than what we ultimately did. But we were able in July, August of 2018 to be able to pivot to the Axxiome team and the SAP platform. I mean, each of those are examples of where we have been able to be opportunistic, and the underlying platform and the guiding principles that we laid out have allowed us to be agile and to react to those market opportunities.
Brad, if you don't mind, I'd add to that a little bit, just sort of with my experience and seeing this transformation take shape. at the end of the day, a transformation like this is costly, and the cost is a necessary evil. But as I was saying in my presentation, one of the things that's great about VAST is the innovative spirit that they bring to the table. And so, Brad and his team have found a way to subsidize some of that cost to achieve ROI sooner through things like these fintechs and other opportunities that really help grow his bottom line while he's managing this transformation. And it's a refreshing and successful approach that I think really made a lot of sense.
And we'll come back to the fintechs in a minute, yeah. But let's stay with you, Andy. So Axxiome plays a key role here in that implementation. And many people might not be too familiar with the Axxiome digital offering, but if you look at it, you have the core banking solution from SAP, you have some other solutions from SAP, then you have Axxiome Digital on top. Now, you talked earlier about limitless integration. So when you think about these transformation projects, is the service layer, the integration layer, the secret sauce, or how do you look at your Axxiome Digital?
Well, I think the secret sauce depends on it's the eye of the beholder, so to speak, right? Every bank that gets into a transformation is doing it for a different reason. What we're attempting to do is provide a platform that answers all of those questions, whether it's all at once or in an individual fashion. So if a bank like VAST is looking to do a full core transformation, we provide the skill sets and the technology through our partnership with SAP, through the experienced technologists and consultants that we have. Or at an individual basis, if say, a bank is looking to digitize one component, maybe it's deposits onboarding, or maybe it's loans or something like that, we can do that on an individual basis as well. And so we feel like doing it in a cloud environment, doing it in a way that's hopefully less costly and less invasive on the business's operation is a more successful way to do it. And so, back to your question on secret sauce, for us, it's more about solving the business's challenge and their need, rather than offering, a platform that fits everybody. So, we tackle all those things depending on who we're talking to.
And what should not be underestimated, also it's a small bank. It's from a product perspective. If you're a fully operating bank on retail and commercial banking, you're offering the same range of products than some of the large banks spread. And you have to have not only one provider, you have to integrate with multiple providers so that your banking operations run seamlessly. So it's not just the SAP and the Axxiome Digital software we are talking about. We're probably about talking 100 other vendors you have for that feed information, or where you have the credit bureau checks or whatever, some form of integration to your platform.
Yeah, no doubt. And the modern integration, easy integration, and my CIO loves it when I say the word easy, right? So I know that there's effort that goes in, but certainly we have a very modern ability to connect. We have the ability to publish and manage APIs to allow our partners, and that could be the third parties, to be able to come towards us as well as us going towards them, to do those things. And it's abstracted from that workflow process, which, we're not having to go in and change code to be able to address some of these things. We can do it from a workflow, from a configuration, whether that be configuring products or other types of things. So yes, Falk, we've got a lot of third-party integrations. We have really, from a mindset perspective, we are very aggressively looking for partners that have similar mindsets as we do, that like the idea of partnering, that on their roadmap is a more modern approach to connectivity and to doing those things. And very, very quickly, we are trying to get rid of those legacy proprietary types of interactions, because I just don't think it's customer friendly. I don't think it, ultimately, I don't think it builds up our ecosystem and is beneficial to the customer. And at the end of the day, I don't, other bankers may disagree with me, but to me, it's the customer that needs to win. We need to focus on providing a experience that the customer likes and loves and goes out and tells other people about it. And if that experience is through a fintech, great. It's still on our platform, right? If that experience is directly with us, great. But the customer needs to win. And I believe if businesses focus on the needs of the customer and make the customer win, then we're ultimately going to be just fine.
So Brad, let's talk about the first fintech you put on your platform.
Sure.
Yeah, you made a public announcement around it. Meet. How would you describe your service, and what are the first results and customer feedback you're getting from it?
Yeah, so Mead Banking Club, and they're going to go through a rebrand here pretty soon. But they came on board. We started that project probably in September of 2018. Their go-to-market strategy included a subscription and a club type of mentality where you paid monthly for some of the banking services and the subscription pieces. It took longer for us to get it up and running than what we had originally anticipated. We are onboarding clients actively right now. Like I mentioned, they're going to go through a rebrand to Tend. We have not hit the customer projections that we had initially anticipated would be coming on board, but that's actually been a pretty good thing for us as we have been maturing. I hate to say it's a good thing, but the bottom line is when you launch a new digital offering, believe it or not, the fraudsters are going to come out in mass and try and steal money. And so, it has been good for us to be methodical and be very intentional in the way that we have approached the market. And, we have not taken the approach to go out and advertise things that we couldn't do and tell people what we're going to build. I think we have taken in my view, I feel more comfortable with this approach. We have built it. It's ready to go. It's been hardened. We, have tested some things. Now we're still implementing improvements and things like that along the way, but we're ready for FinTech number 1, 2, and number 3 to continue to explode. And we believe that we can now handle exponential customer growth.
And you mentioned crypto earlier. To my knowledge, no bank in the United States has offered a cryptocurrency services yet. This is offered by non-regulated institutions. So do you strive to be the first one?
Hey, I always be a scribe. That's part of the off-roading modus operandi, right? No, yes, we're not aware that other national banks have offered those services yet. We've had some very interesting conversations along those lines. We think we are well positioned to be able to offer that as part of a service with one of our fintech partners coming into the end of the year. And we've had a lot of really great conversations with others as well that are very interested in this space. So there appears to be a strong appetite in the market to at least start to understand this. The ability for a bank to come alongside of a fintech partner and to be able to offer a seamless on and off ramp into crypto and to be able to view that is attractive. And our approach, like other things that we've been doing, I would say, is to stick our toe in the water. We are going to be mainly the on-off ramp. We'll let the exchanges and others take care of the crypto to crypto and some of those other types of things. But the OCC has said that it's part of a national bank's ability for us to custody those digital assets. And we think there's an opportunity for us to in the marketplace to take advantage of that.
Interesting. Andrew, when we look at the solution that has been built, and again, it's a combination of Axxiome and SAP solutions, how reusable do you think is it for other small to mid-sized banks in the United States? What's your take on it? Are you confident to bring that to other banks as well?
Well, I was going to ask you the question about what you mean by reusable, but yeah, I think the answer is absolutely yes. I've come not that long ago from an organization where you know, specifically in the lending industry, there's so much customization that happens. What's nice about the solution that, you know, SAP and Axxiome have devised is that it kind of solves all those problems. You don't require all this customization and development of added code that, as we all know, makes, you know, the production management of an enterprise solution like any of these so much more complex and so much more difficult. And I don't believe anyone wants that today. I think people want solutions, which is one of the reasons that the cloud management is so successful today. So having the ability to offer something that doesn't have all of that behind the scenes management and is less difficult to run and doesn't have production issues is got to be the way that we go about this. So, you know, in my mind, you know, almost every component that we've built with SAP and with VAST is reusable anywhere. And that's part of the flexibility of doing something like this, right? And you know, Brad will talk about, you know, the viability of his multi-tenancy platform and how that's relevant to anyone else in his kind of neck of the woods, so to speak, from a, I don't mean that geographically, I mean, just generally speaking, anyone that's in that business in the United States. So, you know, from our perspective, very much reusable, very much relevant to anybody in the mid to large tier bank space that's looking to digitize their platform. And I did want to talk for a second about what Brad was mentioning earlier too. You know, he talked about the customer journey, which is really critical to the end reason for making this kind of investment, right? And I believe they've had the right vein of approach to this whole thing. And, you know, customers want the ability to do mobile banking. And I know that a lot of regional banks, smaller banks, have avoided that because in the past they've had the ability to kind of use their brick and mortar status to bring people in and compete with the large banks. And as we're seeing from this, you know, this COVID mentality and the pandemic that's hitting us globally, you know, whether your bank's open or not doesn't mean customers will come and see you anymore. In some cases, people just don't feel comfortable going outside their houses. So really, that, you know, the application of digital technology, the ability for customers to interact with you in a variety of platforms and venues is just the most critical thing to maintaining relevance and staying successful and alive in this kind of environment. So for those reasons, I think very, very much relevant, Paul.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at the questions in the chat. There's one question, I think, and it goes to both of you. You know, what were the key initiatives, measures to change culture in such a transformation project? Maybe Brad, we start with you. You know, when.
So the question was culture?
Change culture. Yeah. What key initiatives did you have to change the culture? And you know, maybe one thing I would like to point out: you didn't have anything from SAP when you made the decision. It's not that you already had an ERP footprint or procurement system from SAP. You had nothing from SAP. So from 0 to 100, yeah, from a traditional bank to a digital bank. How did you manage to get the team on board?
Yeah,
take everyone
you know,
with you.
That's a great question. You know, our former chairman, who's passed away now, but he told me when he hired me, he said, Brad, don't blow up the bank. Right. And honestly, you know, when he first told me that, you know, and this would have been 2011, I I had to really think about that for a second, but I think we'll look back and we'll look at one of our greatest successes is that we were able to take this from a sleepy little bank, right? Small institution, and be able to, over time, be able to bring in some of the, what we would call agile approaches today, okay, whether you're talking about the technology side or an agile organization, that we were able to gain buy-in early on during those healing stages, during some of those initial merger stages, which people had not experienced those things, during some of the challenging credit environment. So, that 8-year period of time, it has taken us a while to be able to change that culture and to be able to have buy-in to what we're doing. Certainly, we have a set of core values that we've put out that are requirements for us. And you all as partners have heard me get up on my soapbox and talk about our core values, and that we expect our partners to behave in that way as well, to do that. So it's employees, it's partners, et cetera. So, this word transformation has a lot of complexity to it. And I don't know that I have a single good answer. I think that slowly by surely, we've been able to gain mind share with our employees. We've been able to be transparent with them about what we thought were some of the industry challenges. We've been able to, and I'm all the way down to our tellers, right? They've known since 2016 that we have had these things on our minds and we were going this direction. Now, the danger in that is that you can have some fatigue, right? That it's been going on for longer than what they would like. But we have really good buy-in. We have really good alignment from shareholder all the way to our entry-level employees. And to me, I think we've had a pretty successful transformation, just as evidenced by doing that. I also, from my perspective, for those 20% of financial institutions that by 2030 are still going to be relevant, I do think that the CEO has to drive some of the things that we're talking about. Now, maybe in larger organization, that's unrealistic. But I think at the community bank and maybe the regional bank level, this is not easy. Now, I think what we've done and being able to roll it out to other community banks is going to be much easier, okay? But I do think that it takes a CEO and the shareholders and the board to be able to drive that direction. That was a really long answer, but that was a complicated question.
I don't know what to add to that, really, Brad. I think from my perspective,
you're a permanent change agent as well, Andrew. So with your team, so
yeah. I think the key thing from our perspective is really three things when you talk about culture. I mean, in an investment like this and a shift to the organization and all the things that are going to change, the partnership for us is key to make sure that, Brad and the stakeholders of such a large project feel like they have a partner they can lean on. And when there are challenges, they can work through them with somebody that's actively concerned about their business. The second thing is adoption to the internal resources of the bank, understand what changes are happening, why they're happening, can they buy into that, which Brad already talked about. And then having a governance structure that keeps things on track so that, people don't begin to lose faith in what you're doing. And when these projects are so long, you've got to have a sense of success along the way. And so we've talked about this term. I know Brad talked about it, minimum viable product, where, the stakeholders and end users can see tangible progress along the way. So this cultural shift isn't on the day everything goes into production. It happens kind of along the way where people can see what's happening, can buy into it, can understand the benefits of it, and be part of that transition. So, as I said before, Brad and his team have had strong degree of awareness of that and has talked about it regularly. We talked about it just yesterday, actually. And that's a continuing evolution that, as it's addressed along the way, makes sure that this kind of transformation is a success.
Let me ask you one more question. We're nearing the end here. So, Brad, you mentioned you want to put the customer in control. So that's how you started your presentation. Any early feedback from the customers, if it is a fintech or private customer or commercial bank customer, on your journey yet? Something you can share with us?
Boy, that's really good. I think the most impressive thing right now from a customer and control perspective, if you think about the onboarding process and what I described in terms of the proprietary nature of that bank in the box, component, right? Well, that process is still highly manual, and we have people checking those things and all of that, right? So in total, you probably have anywhere from a 40-minute to a hour and 15-minute total type of time. I'm not saying always in front of the customer, right? But in order to fully onboard a customer. I think that the experience, and if you have your information with the digital onboarding, being able to bring and fully onboard that customer within a 5-minute period of time is a good experience for the customer. In addition, is a better experience if they want that. Now, in community banks, sometimes customers just want to come in and have a cup of coffee too, and spend 30 minutes talking with folks. We'll enable that for them as well. But if you want to do your thing, get on board with 5 minutes, be able to move money. I think we have early evidence that our thesis is working, although I don't think that the financial results, there's still a timing difference between the revenue and expenses right now, in terms of that how that's playing out. But we firmly believe we're right on the right path. I firmly believe that we are putting that control in the hands of the customers. I'm really excited in 2021 to have our core banking initiative. And I think I'll have a better answer for you whenever it's our direct customers, Falk. Right now, it's more through the fintech partner relationship on the SAP side. Okay,
I take you up on this, and we can discuss at the next conference then next year, and see how it turned out. I would like to thank both of you. Brad, thank you very much. Andrew, thank you very much for this presentation. Great insight, and exciting to see how you're transforming your bank to a digital powerhouse. Thank you.
I like that language. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.